We are live. Okay. Let me know where you're from and your name. Now, to be honest, I didn't expect really many people to turn up at all for this. It is the 22nd of December, but we said we'd do it. So here I am, ready to answer any questions that anybody comes up with. If you can't hear me, do let me know. We are trying out a new little bit of kit. Hopefully everything is fine. So I'll kind of do a quick cover of what's happening in the new year, because there's a lot happening in the new year. And, if I don't get any questions sort of in the next 15 minutes, then we'll just sort of wrap it up. And, I'll keep an eye on the chat there. So new things, there are lots of new things happening. So in January, we'll have the next Dressage Train Journal magazine out. We've got a brand new series. Now, this is a kind of working title for it. All the filming has been done for it, so this will definitely be being released early in January, and it's called The Rider's Body on the Ground and on the Horse, and in the saddle, actually. And this is a series of 9 lessons done in conjunction with Hartpury University. And basically, Liz Launder, their osteopath, and Mary Wanless got together in a room with racewood simulators, and basically there's biomechanical assessments of people on the ground and on the simulator in walk, trot, and canter. And we have 9 different riders of different ages, different body types, different experience levels, and you can see the exercises and corrections and assessments on the ground done by Liz Launder, and then you can kind of see the corrections and input from Mary and Liz as well when the rider gets on the simulator. So that's going to be a lot of material, and we'll release that over a series of months. But that's going to be some really great stuff with 2 different viewpoints, but they both work together really, really well. And it's interesting to see how some riders have one pattern on the ground, and then you put them on the horse and they have a completely different pattern. And sometimes that's because that's how they've been told to ride. And sometimes the person's pattern on the ground matches, very well to how they ride the horse. So that's really interesting. Glad you can hear me. Now the next, the other course that's coming out is Riding for Lightness, and that will be available for members of Dressage Train TV, but it will be its own website for anyone who isn't part of Dressage Train TV and wants to purchase the course outright. So it'll be its own website, but members will have access to the material on Dressage Training TV. And Riding for Lightness really is a kind of amalgamation of the groundwork and some of the ridden groundwork and some of the rider biomechanics to get to a point where you can have your horse light to the aids, in downward transitions, in upward transitions from your leg, and a lot of the other sort of stuff like being able to come up to a mounting point, mounting block, and just move its body into place, and the real sort of basics that make a big difference to a horse being nice to ride, a horse being easier to ride. So it'll kind of be the on the ground training. It'll be some of the horse responsibilities, what's the horse responsible for, and we'll also be adding in the rider biomechanics side of it, so that your halting, your downward transition technique doesn't unpick the work you do on the ground, and the same for upward transitions as well. And yeah, so that's going to be its own new thing, and we're creating a plaque for it, so a sort of a reasonable sized plaque that you'll get sent at the end of that course. You don't have to pay anything extra for it. We're just going to send it to you, and that'll be a course completion plaque. So that would be sort of really cool. It's got its own sort of branding, own symbol on it. Riding for Lightness, a course for everyone, and it's quite a nice, you know, base level of groundwork, rider biomechanics, and ridden groundwork, and horse training. You know, so I guess it's kind of, you know, a mixture between the groundwork certificate, some of the groundwork certifications, some of the well-trained horse, some of the how of riding, and also, you know, input from Ali on training the horse as well. So those are two that I can talk about. There are others in the works as well that I can't talk about, because I think we've learned our lesson now that unless we've got a lot already filmed, we're not going to put something up until we've got a lot of it filmed, because we have had situations in the past before where, you know, due to people or due to horses or due to injury, a course gets kind of put on hold. So we're going to sort of, you know, make sure we've got enough footage before we announce the third one that we're hoping to do, and you know, we have got lots of others planned. Another one that we've got planned is Mary's. Now we haven't got it confirmed yet, but Mary's thinking of doing a course this year on collection. So, you know, collection being everything from how do you get your horse lighted to the contact? How do you bring your horse? How do you solve problems where your horse is on the forehand or heavy in front, or kind of, you know, diving onto its forehand? How do you solve those kind of problems? And also, how do you progress to getting the horse more engaged behind, more active, more power, more energy, more impulsion? How do you do those kind of things as well? So, I mean, that was kind of be like the summer one that Mary normally does. So she, you know, each year she kind of does, you know, one year she did on the bit, and then she did rider biomechanics, and then she did steering straight and sideways. So yeah, next year we're thinking of having that as collection, which is, I think, quite an interesting topic, and you'll get to see a number of different levels of horses. Elena says, hi, Peter. How would you bring a horse back into work if the horse hasn't done anything for 6 months and is very hollow? Right. So I would really do your groundwork first. So, you know, get the groundwork to a point where you can do head lowering and you can start shaping the walk, you know, and spend quite a bit of time doing that kind of groundwork so that you can do a good, you know, 30-minute or so session, you know, start bringing in, moving the quarters, moving the forehand, and getting the horse to be around, and get the horse working from the head lowering button so that you can press on the base of the neck and the head and neck lowers. And, you know, if you can train it to the voice, that's even better. So that when you get on, you can at least shape the horse's back in the walk. And then you can just follow the traditional advice about bringing a horse back into work, that, you know, you can start spend quite a lot of time in walk with little bits of trot in the first couple of weeks, and, you know, gradually build it up. So, you know, I think I'd probably spend, you know, a week just on the ground, bringing the horse back, and maybe even a bit longer if it takes a while to get it right. But yeah, you won't really do any harm walking, you know, if you want to do some walking with the groundwork, but it's just, you kind of need to get the groundwork to a point where when you sit on, the horse's instantaneous reaction isn't just to hollow its back and stick its head up in the air. So by doing that kind of shaping, and hopefully you're doing part of the groundwork certification program, so you kind of understand what I mean by shaping. But I'll give you an example. You know, you can be in halt and you want to walk on, and you do a little bit of head lower, and then you give a little tap and the horse walks on, and you make sure that the reaction isn't head up, that you keep the horse head lowered and not poked either, head lowered as they walk on. And the same when coming in doing walk halt. You want to get them to, you're in the walk, you do a little bit more head lowering, maybe slow walk, maybe slow the walk down, and then ask for halt with the head lowered, and that the horse halts head lowered. If you can kind of fix those, habits into the horse for your walk, halt, walk transitions, it makes a big difference when you get on. I always find that those initial time spent doing walk halt transitions ridden makes a big difference for the rest of the session, because you're essentially establishing in the horse's mind that it stays up through its back into a transition to halt. It stays with its back up, and then you walk on with its back lifted up, and then that makes a massive difference when you start doing walk trot transitions. The horse really understands that it needs to maintain its back lifted up and reaching into the rein. Yeah, probably about 20 minutes, the initial sessions, just 20 minutes with the horse. Do a good, decent, long groundwork session, and then, maybe 20 minutes walk. And, it goes faster than you think. It's kind of like, you get up there, you do some free walking along reins, some stretching on both reins, you pick up the rein, you do, a couple of 20-meter circles, and then you change the rein stretching, and then pick the reins back up again, and then, do some more circles on the other rein. And then I start doing, 2 half 10-meter circles, for instance, or a 10-meter circle or 15-meter circle and walk, depending on the horse. Walk halt transitions, practicing those quite often. And with a focus in your walk halt transitions, that the horse stays up through its back, coming into the halt, coming out of the halt. And that's what, head lowering has to be really well implemented from a light contact. And the reason for that is, if you kind of come into halt and the horse kind of comes up a little bit like that, generally you can just make a little take with the rein like this, and that causes the horse to drop its head. You've applied pressure, it drops the head, and the back stays, and you're feeling like you're sucking the back up underneath you. You're supporting your body weight on your thighs, the back stays up. If the horse's head comes up, a little bit of rein like that and a give, and usually the horse drops its head back into place, or maybe a little bit on the other side, and then you can close the legs and get it to walk on with its back up underneath you. So yeah, 20 minutes, something like that. You might go a little bit longer, but yeah, you'll be fine. I mean, six months, yeah, it's not that long off. What happened to Eric? I happened to Eric. I didn't really want to say, because I want to make sure I get enough footage in the band, but I am riding Eric again, and that series will be back. I got really involved in the business and courses and filming and all that kind of thing, and fortunately I didn't get enough time to ride Eric frequently enough to progress him in the way that I want to. So that commitment is back. Yeah, we'll be getting some more footage up, so you can expect to see some footage up over Christmas. Over the Christmas period, I'm mostly off, I guess. I still have some websites, some video editing and those kind of things, but it isn't as intense, and so I get to ride every day. Do excuse me, I have the hiccups. So I will get to ride him every day, and he's coming along nicely. He's a real sweetie, so you will see more of him. I've sort of committed to making that happen, but we didn't want to say anything until we've got some actual footage together to put up there. He recently did a British Dressage affiliated prelim. Millie took him round, and that was his first time with judges in the judges box and everything else. He only scored 63.3, but we put him in HC basically. He won the class. So he won the class on that. so so yeah, he, fingers crossed, will go out on the next affiliated with me riding him, and that will be something very interesting to report. But we kind of wanted to keep that quiet until I'd kind of gone through being able to ride him, 5-6 days a week, and made some good progress. So yeah, you will see him. Okay, how are we doing for time? All right. Let me just see if I've got anything else that we want to let you know about. Oh yeah. So anyway, just like random news. Tinker, who I'm sure you've all seen, Millie rode Tinker in the same affiliated competition that Eric was in, and scored 66% in her first elementary, and won the class. 66% qualifying score. Qualifying score for regionals, was it? Yeah, qualifying score for regionals. So yeah, so we were really pleased with her, and so Millie will start doing more elementary work with Tinker, and we'll try and get a little filming session with that. Tinker's so sweet. She always gets the same comments on all of her sheets. You can be pretty much guaranteed that words which kind of go, lovely partnership, needs more engagement behind. And that's no matter what level Tinker will be at, there'll be that, because she's built downhill. So we'll try and get some footage of that, and we're also going to try and film a little training session with Ella and Millie as well, and I think that'll be fun. If you haven't already, what's your Instagram account, Millie? Millie Dressage. So if you search for MILLY Dressage on Instagram, Millie posts on that account quite a lot, and there's some really nice footage of Ella up at the moment, and Tinker, of course, and you'll see a bit more of that coming up on Dressage Training TV. So we are kind of working hard to provide more advanced material and put it all out there. It's just been very difficult this year trying to balance building Dressage Training TV as a business, and also actually getting some riding in, which is really what I started Dressage Training TV for, so I could do some more riding instead of spending more hours in front of the computer than I was already. If you see the advert out for the Riding for Lightness, leave a nice comment if you're already enjoying the groundwork certification program. It'd be great to have support from the members on that, letting people know how good the groundwork is. We really want that Riding for Lightness to take off kind of in a big way for everybody, because sometimes we're worried that being called Dressage Training TV, people might be sort of put off joining because it's dressage. So really the Riding for Lightness is kind of a course for everybody, and we're sort of charged, to buy that course outright, we're charging less than even cost of a lesson with a typical trainer. So yeah, we hope that will really take off in a big way. Okay, thank you for joining on the 22nd of December. It was really nice to hear from you and answer your questions. I hope you have a really good Christmas. I've got a lot of writing to do over Christmas. It's fun, although I've also got a lot of website editing to do as well for Riding for Lightness. So I'm going to be filming my riding, and I'm going to be sort of making a blog of the work that I'm doing with Eric. And as soon as I've got enough material together and we can kind of show a nice progress, we'll put that up on the series of me riding. All right, so there's no other questions. Have a good Christmas, and I'll see you all in the new year. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas, Alina.